One invite, one runway, one night with Ferraris, flashing cameras, and more reality stars in one room than a Peacock promo. And somehow, one tiny, blurry video from that night almost convinced the entire internet that Nic Olandria had finally gone too far. Because if you watched Love Island USA Season 7, you already know the names Ace, Nic, Olandria, Taylor, Cierra, Huda. You've argued about who should have won Love Island, who was right in the whole Love Island Huda mess, whether this was the most chaotic dating show cast yet, and if Nic Olandria, that's Nic and Olandria, were truly the couple to beat on Love Island USA, or just the couple with the strongest edits and the loudest fan base. And somehow, months after the villa closed, one night out, one luxury car brand, and one gala turned into another chapter of Love Island Season 7 drama that didn't even happen in the villa at all. Before we dive into how one Ferrari-filled night turned into a fandom investigation, do me one tiny favor. Tap subscribe like it's a last-minute recoupling and you're trying not to get dumped from your own For You page. All right, let's talk about Nic Olandria's wildest post-villa night.
When the season ended and the credits rolled, Nic and Olandria didn't just walk out as another couple from another reality show. They walked out as a story. Nic Olandria wasn't just a ship name. It was a brand, a fan project, a whole personality trait for some viewers. People clipped every look she gave him, every smile he shot across the fire pit, every tiny moment that made it feel like you weren't just watching a dating show. You were watching two people figure out how to be real in a fake situation. Ace, Taylor, Cierra, and Huda all had their own arcs, their own fandoms, their own drama threads. But Nic Olandria had that thing you can't quite explain, that if they mess this up, I'm closing the app kind of energy. And with that kind of energy comes one thing: invitations. So when Nic opened his email one afternoon and saw that subject line, an exclusive celebration with star-studded entertainment, high-end cocktails, and a certain luxury car brand whose logo alone costs more than most people's cars, he did exactly what anyone would do.
He read it, squinted, read it again. Ferrari. 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 It's a Ferrari, right? This is real. Come on. He forwarded it to Olandria. He dropped it into the cast group chat. Ace replied with a voice note that sounded like three people talking at once. Taylor immediately asked about dress code. Cierra wanted to know who else was invited. Huda just sent an eye emoji. Suddenly, it wasn't just an email. It was a test, because as soon as the fandom hears the words runway, Ferrari, and Nic Olandria in the same sentence, it stops being a simple night out and starts becoming content. And the second that invite landed in their inbox, it stopped being just Love Island Season 7 and started being a whole new game.
In the hotel room the night of the event, it did not look like two calm, collected reality stars getting ready for a mature evening. It looked like a suitcase exploded, a stylist's Pinterest board came to life, and anxiety was playing background music. There were dresses draped over every surface, blazers on chairs, shoes on the bed. Nic pacing and muttering, "This is crazy. This is actually crazy. I was just in a villa fighting over beanbags, and now I'm supposed to stand next to a Ferrari like I belong there?" Olandria was trying to play it cool, but you could see the pressure. Love Island USA didn't just give her followers, it gave her critics, think pieces, people who replayed her smallest expressions like football replays. Now, every choice, hair, dress, shoes, who she stood next to, was going to get screen grabbed and posted on fan pages with captions like, "She looks different here," or "She doesn't look happy," or "Look at Nic's face at 003. Add a glam team and it gets even louder. Someone's curling her hair. Someone else is figuring out which highlighter works under harsh flashes. Someone is talking about going full runway, not just influencer event. Nic is trying to decide whether he looks more like successful reality star or Guy who accidentally walked into the wrong event. And then there's the brand stuff. A friend had slipped Olandria this little jar earlier that day, some miracle tooth powder with clay, baking soda, and a description that sounded more like a science project than a smile hack. Just trust me, they said. You're going to be under those harsh lights. This will make your teeth pop. So now, in the middle of all this chaos, she's standing there with this powder, trying to figure out how to use it, and Nic is low-key horrified. You're telling me I have to chew my toothpaste before I go to a gala with Ferraris outside? He's saying. Why do we live like this? They're laughing, joking, teeth looking fine either way, but remember, nothing is just a private joke anymore. The glam team is filming behind-the-scenes clips, a nail tech posts an Instagram story with a blurry shot of the invite, someone tags the city, someone adds a song, a red icon flashes in the corner. By the time they've even left the room, the fan accounts have already seen enough to start making theories. The car pulls up, and this is the moment where villa life and real life finally crash into each other. Outside, there's a line of cars, flashes from cameras, people in outfits that cost more than Nic's entire suitcase, and that familiar logo gleaming under the lights. Inside their ride, it's quiet. Nic looks out the window. Olandria adjusts her earrings. Runway, runway, Ferrari, he jokes under his breath. Tonight, we make big dollars, right? She rolls her eyes, but smiles anyway, because she knows he's nervous. He knows she is too. When they step out, the noise hits them like Villa Drama Day all over again. People calling their names, photographers shouting random phrases so they look up. Somebody, probably a Love Island fan who snuck in or a very online PR intern, actually yells, "Nicolandria, look over here!" And in that second, they aren't Nic and Olandria separately. They're one word, one storyline. They pose. They walk. She adjusts her dress. He straightens his jacket. They stop for the step and repeat. Her hand on his arm, his head tilted toward her as someone says something off camera that makes her laugh. From far away, the clips look like magic. Up close, Nic is just trying not to trip on the carpet. Of course, they're not the only familiar faces. Further down the carpet, Ace is talking to someone from the press, laughing loudly, hands moving as he tells a story. Taylor walks by in a dress that's going to end up on every fan page within an hour. Cierra has that look like she knows exactly how many cameras are on her, even if she's pretending she doesn't care. Huda appears at some point with her own glam squad, and people immediately start tagging her in everything, even if she's just existing. To the casual viewer, it's just a nice crossover episode between Love Island and luxury brand world. To the fans who've spent months arguing about Ace versus Nic, Taylor versus Cierra, what really happened with Huda, and who deserved what, this carpet looks like a chessboard. Where they stand, who they greet first, who they don't greet at all. It all becomes data. And as wild as this entrance is, the moment that truly breaks the fandom doesn't happen under the bright lights. It happens once they're inside, where the cameras, theoretically, calm down. Inside the ballroom, it's dark, warm, and expensive in that way you can't fully describe. Tables lit by candles, glasses clinking, people pretending they're not impressed, even though everyone's impressed. Nic and Olandria sit at a table where half the guests are from TV and the other half are from, if you know, circles. Directors, execs, brand people. The kind of night where you're one polite conversation away from your next paycheck or your next PR disaster. At some point in the evening, the room goes quiet for a speech. On stage, a woman accepts an award and says she wants to dedicate it to every woman who has ever questioned her worth, who's ever looked at her reflection and thought she didn't belong in a room like this. She talks about burnout, doubt, learning to come home to yourself. She thanks a fitness company that supported her, and the room claps in that mix of politeness and genuine emotion. The camera, because there's always a camera, pans over the audience. It catches Olandria in that exact moment. Shoulders a little tense, eyes glassy, not crying, but that look that says somebody just put her whole villain edit, fan edit, glam edit life into words she didn't expect to hear tonight. Nic glances at her. Not dramatic, not exaggerated, just a quick check-in. You good? Her tiny nod back. I'm fine, I get it. Later, that clip surfaces online. Fans slow it down, caption it, say you can see in his eyes that he's not just her Love Island partner, he actually sees her. Maybe that's real. Maybe it's projection. Maybe it's both. Around the room, Ace jokes with somebody about how different this is from the villa's neon signs and beanbags. Taylor laughs with another group. Cierra is snapped in the background of someone's selfie. Huda is mid-conversation with someone from a brand. From the outside, it looks like a normal, glamorous night. From the inside, everybody knows they're still being watched.
And then there's the clip. You've seen this kind of video 1,000 times. Vertical, shaky, filmed from way too far away, music blaring so loud the audio basically gives up, red and purple lights spinning, a logo in the corner, maybe a Ferrari, maybe a sponsor, maybe just some random LED design that everybody decided was deep. In the middle of the frame, you can vaguely make out Nic. Next to him is someone leaning in, maybe Ace, maybe a random guest, maybe a person the internet will misidentify 6 times before breakfast. You can see part of Olandria's hair and the edge of the shot. Someone behind them throws their head back laughing. A hand goes up with a drink. Someone shouts something you can't hear. The video is 7 seconds long. The caption is 10 times longer. Yo, look closely at 003. This whole Nicolandria image is done. And just like that, the investigation begins.
People slow the clip down frame by frame. They zoom in so far the pixels give up. They circle Nic's shoulder. They circle a blurry face in the back. They rewrite the audio in their heads to match whatever narrative they already believed. If you were Team Nic Olandria, you see a guy in a loud room having a normal conversation. If you were never sold on them, you see proof he's too comfortable with someone else. If you were still mad about how Ace went out, maybe you see some secret alliance. If you had strong opinions about Taylor or Cierra or Huda from Love Island, you somehow drag them into a clip they might not even be in. Because the funny part is, you can't truly tell who's who. The lighting is bad, the angle is worse, but that doesn't matter. The internet has decided the clip means something, and it's going to build a whole cathedral of assumptions on top of those 7 seconds. TikToks pop up with captions like, "Watch his body language when she leans in." "Why does Olandria look like that at the end?" "Remember what happened in the villa? This changes everything." People splice in old Love Island Season 7 scenes, old Love Island Huda drama, old recoupling moments, gossip from Q&As, podcast quotes taken out of context, and suddenly this one little video from a Ferrari gala becomes evidence in a trial that's been running all season. And here's the wildest part. Nic and Olandria haven't posted a single thing yet. They're just trying to get home, kick their shoes off, and remove about 14 layers of glam. By the time they wake up the next morning, the internet has already decided what happened. On Twitter, or X, or whatever we're calling it today, there are threads with 25 screenshots breaking down the night like game tape. On TikTok, edits are using dramatic audio, slow zooms, filters, captions like, "We should have known," or "This is why I never trust reality TV couples." On Instagram, fan cages are side-by-siding clips from the villa with clips from the gala, circling facial expressions like they're in a detective show.
Some people are dragging Nic Olandria for selling out now that they're at glitzy events with luxury cars and red carpets. Some people are defending them, saying, they're literally just working. Y'all wanted them to win, now you're mad they're winning? Somehow, Ace's name trends, Taylor's name trends, Cierra's name trends, Huda's name trends, sometimes for absolutely no reason other than the fact that people still want to argue about Love Island USA Season 7 like it aired yesterday. And in the middle of all this noise, Nic Olandria finally posts. Not a notes app essay, not a defensive rant, just a picture.
It's Nic and Olandria, back in regular clothes, sitting on a couch, looking exhausted but happy. Her makeup is half off, his tie is gone. They're sharing a snack that looks suspiciously like the opposite of gala food. The caption is something small and calm. Maybe a joke about chewing weird toothpaste for a red carpet. Maybe a simple, long night, same us. To some people, that's proof that everything is fine. To others, it's PR damage control. To most reasonable humans, it's just two people coming home from a long event. And maybe that's the real story here, because the more you zoom out, the more you realize this isn't just about one Ferrari night. It's about what happens when a couple that started on a dating show stops being just characters in your favorite comfort season and starts trying to build a real life in a world that won't stop watching.
We get so used to seeing them under neon lights and dramatic narration that we start treating them like fictional characters. So when they step onto a different kind of stage, a runway, a gala, a brand event, it feels like the show just extended into real life. But here's the twist nobody advertises. There are no producers controlling the votes anymore. No narrator explaining what you're seeing. No confessionals to clarify misunderstandings. Just a bunch of real people in expensive clothes trying to network, enjoy themselves, and maybe not trip on the way to their table. And us. On the outside, zooming in, reading lips, writing essays under a 7-second clip. So next time you see Ace, Nicolandria, Nic, Olandria, Taylor, Cierra, Huda, or any of the Love Island crew pop up at some wild event with fast cars and slow camera pans, remember this. Half of what you're reacting to is what actually happened, and half of it is what you brought to the screen. If you made it this far into the video, deep in the Nicolandria Ferrari era with me, hit subscribe like you're voting to keep your favorite couple in the villa for one more week. It takes you one tap, and it keeps me from getting dumped by the algorithm. And as always, before you head off to the next clip, ask yourself, are we watching reality or just our own expectations with better lighting? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next breakdown. Don't forget to subscribe before you run away like you've just seen a recoupling text.